Okay, Henry, as usual.
The early stages of the game was sluggish,
Yeah.
uninspired.
I agree.
And then later, early second half was a whole different deal.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why they look so sluggish?
I think the obvious reasons that anybody would talk about are why someone would be sluggish or not sluggish. Somewhere in that, and what the percentage of all that is, I don't know. A kid made a lot of threes in the first half and didn't make very many in the second half. And sometimes when guys are making shots on the other end, especially the ones he was making, it deflates you a little bit. And I thought in the second half, obviously those shots weren't going in, and I thought it maybe deflated them a little bit and maybe made us seem a little bit more encouraged. Aside from that, there's obviously a lot of, I think, traditional factors that we all know about. Game before Christmas, as Jeff's alluded to, or record, or whatever it might happen to be. But I do think that the kid shooting the ball the way he did in the first half impacted our half. And I think in the second half, him not making it, everyone's like, well, what'd you say at halftime? We didn't say anything at halftime. The kid just didn't make as many shots in the second half.
From what we already know, did that impact the sluggishness?
Again, like there's probably a litany of things that go into what happened today. What the percentages of all of them are, I can't say. It's each individual kid, how it impacts them, how it impacts the group, me, the staff, whoever. Fortunately, we were able to come away with the win, and that's all we really talked about in the last 24 hours. It's all we talked about at halftime. We got to get everything aside. We're going to win a basketball game, and I thought we responded in the second half. Not the first 3 minutes of the second half, but I thought after that, we kind of settled in and did what we needed to do. We watched a lot of clips of before the game. We showed Dayton and we showed Houston, and I showed them how Dayton played against them, which is a relatively uninspired game, and it's why the game was very similar to this, and Dayton's a top 25 team. And I showed them Houston, who won by a pretty sizable advantage, and you could just see the energy levels. And I came in at halftime and said that was Dayton. We need to be more Houston here. So hopefully that had something to do with it, just kind of getting re-engaged or engaged for the first time, I should say, in the second half.
So I will start with the on-court stuff. Obviously, we have some questions that we'll have to address, or you can address. But the two guys that filled in for your missing starters tonight, Corey Manigault, Zane Martin, both 21 and 19, 6 assists for Zane. Can you speak to how those two guys inserted into the starting lineup for the first time this year performed for you?
Yeah, I think they consider themselves starters probably in their own mind, and I think in a lot of other years and teams, they are starters. We just happen to be a deep basketball team with a lot of good players, and those guys were able to step in and do some good things. They're older, they're experienced. Corey's obviously been here now going on 2 years. And I'm happy that both of them did what they needed to do, especially on the offensive end.
Devontae got sent up to Brandon with 2 minutes in the first half. Is this just a cooling off period?
Yeah, I'm learning how to coach him. He's an emotional young man. It's my second game with him. It's our first week of practice together. It's new for me. It's new for him. And unfortunately, we don't get to go through the preseason together and scrimmages and exhibitions. He's getting thrown right into the fire on a 12-2 team and trying to find a role. And obviously, the first half was not anything anybody would have wanted. I think there was a lot of emotion out of a lot of different guys. But like I just told them, I'm just very proud of the fact that for 20 minutes they put everything aside, went out, and found a way to win a basketball game. And that's growth for us.
But his not playing the second half, was it discipline?
It was me still learning how to figure out how to coach Monte.
Coach, the openness in the lane for various reasons seemed to kind of lend itself to Vance's game and the way he played at the end of last season. Did you see the same thing, that he kind of got some freedom in the lane there?
Yeah, I think as long as we were going to be patient offensively, I felt like we could get any shot. At halftime, one of the coaches saying we're going to have to get 100 tonight to win this game. I think we have always felt good about our offense. We have a very good offensive basketball team. Statistically, theoretically, practically, it's our defense that has to get to where it needs to get to beat a San Diego State, a Utah State, whoever these teams are that are ahead of us. We've got to grow defensively, and I think for 10 or so minutes in the second half, we showed that. We just have to find a way to do more of it.
You said there was a litany of things that led to the sluggishness in the first half, but in particular, just not having those two guys. Just talk about how much that impacted you.
It's very recent, it's very new. It isn't something we've really talked a ton about, especially basketball-wise. We really just got ready for the game, and the goal is to go out and win the basketball game. So there really wasn't a ton that went into it. There just hasn't been enough time.
You guys had Makuach obviously 7 for 7 from the floor, 19 points again, season high for him, tied a career high for steals. And Makuach quietly kind of had one of his games that he's had a couple times this year, but it looks like he's a guy that might have to step up more now.
For sure. I think when we get the ball to the paint, whether it's Corey or Quach, whether it's Zane, whether it's Quan, we're a very, very good team. The issue we have at times is settling for other shots, and I thought Quach's shot selection tonight was awesome. Everything was at the rim, going to the rim, or an open three. And Quach is no different. We're talking about Zane and Corey. Just he's a great basketball player, and sometimes because of the guys we have who have played very well, these guys get unnoticed, but they're great players too.
Jaquan ends up with 19 and 6 assists, 4 turnovers. He had to play at the end of the first half though, and this hasn't been unique for you guys. The end of the first half bucket has been an easy bucket for the opposing teams, I think 4 or 5 times this year.
Yeah.
Jaquan turns to the referee and is complaining as the guy runs right by him for an open layup.
Sure.
Did you talk to him about that play?
We did not. We just, quite honestly, got in and got ready for the second half. It'll be something that we do talk about in time, but we've had some good closes to the first half, bad closes to the first half. I thought it was really good against New Mexico State. Obviously, it wasn't against Grand Canyon, but Grand Canyon was more of a kind of broken play and a guy getting loose. Tonight, we just went and set the ball screen too early. We could call timeouts in those situations, but I'm hopeful, especially in a game like this, like these are good reps for us to grow and learn and, take that, to the next game and the next opportunity.
Saltavian taking up the rock, man.
Yeah.
Obviously probably had to, but your thoughts on him on that?
Yeah, I mean, when we looked at obviously who could transition into different positions for the game, Tavian had a 6-0 assist to turnover ratio. We figured that might be the guy to kind of chew up some minutes as a ball handling guard. We don't have a ton of options there. Unfortunately, the other option we had, transferred, so we just were a little light there, and we're going to have to look at some different guys. Puts a very heavy burden on Jaquan, which I'm nervous about. Zane was terrific tonight, and hopefully we'll get more kind of ball handling guard play in there to kind of offset the change in our roster.
Vance is starting, it looks like he's starting to turn the corner. Can you talk about how, in the adjustments he has made to get back on solid ground?
Yeah, I think the last 2 games has been the most he's tried to score around the paint all year long. I think he's gone down there, he's been physical, he's used his body, he's gotten to the free throw line. We met a couple, might have been yesterday, the day before, and that's really the biggest difference between, I think, last year and this year. Last year there was many more free throw attempts, many more rebounds, and many more paint touches. And I think this year he's settled too much for perimeter play, and doesn't mean he can't play in the perimeter, but let's play inside out and allow your game, get to the free throw line, do different things, and hopefully that'll open some things up for him.
Last 2, Will and Geoff.
We're told that you would want to make a statement about about JJ.
Okay, has the statement gone out?
Yes.
It has gone out?
Yes.
Really, my statement would just mirror exactly what statement has gone out so far.
Nothing about how long they'd be out.
I am not going to comment on this situation right now.
Are you the situation is one thing, is the timing of it, when you guys released it to the public and to the media and fans, and B, how long it's going to last so the fans might know.
That's a good point.
For your next game. Are those things you're going to comment on?
Honestly, I will probably refer all questions to Eddie. Eddie is in charge of this right now. I'm the basketball coach. I'm going to coach the guys that I have, and I'll pretty much forward everything directly to him. And you guys know I've always been a very forthcoming, transparent person. If that moment presents itself, I have no problem commenting, but at this very moment, I am going to refuse to comment.
This may fall under that same category, but I will ask in a more general sense, and we've talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
You are taking a lot of transfers. You are taking some people that have had pasts
Sure.
that those schools would say have blemishes.
Yep.
And you've said that, Carlton's case, he's been one of the best players you've
Yep.
had, a good, upstanding citizen. You're taking a risk on some of the transfers you've taken. I'm curious if that plays into this in any way, and if you have any regrets on how you have recruited players.
Honestly, this is very new, as I just alluded to. I think we're all trying to gather a lot of information right now, and there's really not much for me to say on that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks, Coach.
If anybody has any further questions on that, you can either direct it to me or Frank as opposed to going directly to Eddie, and we'll get that handled. All right.
Can you explain how, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, thanks. All right, Corey Manigault's got 21 points, 9 for 10 from the floor tonight. Henry, go ahead.
Why were you guys uninspired at the start of the game?
This obviously our two big guys and they out, so we just gotta adjust. Just we had some last minute stuff. We just had to come together, gel together, and stuff like that.
Are you saying the suspensions had an impact on the beginning of the game?
A little bit. I mean, it's just something new, so you know, we gotta adjust. We gotta adjust. That's it.
Coach talked about you kind of consider yourself a starter anyway. Now you're going to get minutes like a starter probably for however long. But do you see a different role, or did it feel different getting 31 minutes as opposed to 32 minutes as opposed to usually 20, whatever it is? Are you endurance-wise going to be able to handle this?
Yeah, I'm for sure gonna be able to handle it. Like anything that come at me, I'm gonna handle. It's just a new role. It's just I'm a senior, so you feel me? I gotta step up.
When you said new role, obviously we're talking about you starting in the place of Carlton, but there were at least 2 times I saw you try and run the point and run the fast break. Is that your new role? Are you going to start running the point a little bit?
If it come to it sometime, maybe, but for the most part, nah, I ain't on that.
And the corner 3?
Yeah, oh yeah, I got that. I had that.
All right. Corner 3, running the point, I got you.
Anything else before then?
So can you talk about your other bench player that ended up starting today? You guys combined for 40 points on 19 shots. Can you talk
Zane I met Zane in high school, so you feel me? We from the same side, like on the East Coast type. So we just had the same mindset. We just went in there, we blocking out everything, you feel me, and doing what we gotta do to get this win. You feel me? And nothing, we can't stop. We just gotta keep going.
How's it feel, man, just to finally make it to the break, like get a break, man, come out with this win, you know?
Yeah, it feels good. I'm going home tonight, so it feels good to go home with a win and sit back, but we still got some more work to do, a lot more work to do actually now.
Any plans for Christmas, man? Any traditions? You got anything going on?
Nah, it's just me and my mom. It's just chilling with my mom.
Cool.
A lot of people around the league that don't like the Lobos, probably some people in town that don't like the Lobos, saw this as a potential pitfall for you guys, and we'll keep watching to see how you guys handle this. Does this have the potential to derail this team?
Oh no, not at all. That's what people hoping for, but we're not gonna go like that. We still a team. Like we still care for each other. Even when somebody fight, you know, we're gonna get back like an hour later. So we're gonna keep it together. We're gonna keep it moving.
Thanks, Corey.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow, man.
All right, Makuach Maluach, 19 points, perfect 7 for 7 from the floor.
Makuach, you've been a part of the past couple of years, and there have been times where, you know, adversities hit this team for off-the-court stuff. Today looked like that, at least in the first half. Is this similar in any way to those kind of hurdles you guys created yourselves in the past?
I mean, for me, honestly, like in our team, we don't really care like what we just do what we can control, and we don't worry about the outside noise and like what's going on. Today we just had another game, and like we just came in, do what we needed to do, and just hope. Like, everyone's here for a reason, so we're basketball players at the end of the day.
Did you approach this game in any different way, knowing two of your regular starters weren't going to be there? You just did your thing?
I just came in, same routine, like every day. I didn't feel any pressure, like didn't put any pressure on myself. Like you might say, oh, you had 19 points, so you took a step, but I had the ball, I was open, I shot it, they went in, and that's it. Another day.
Coach said not much was said at halftime, but I mean for you guys, we'll sit in the locker room and just obviously come out, have better performance in the second half.
I mean, we didn't really play well in the first half, so we just came in and just said our defense needs to be better, and we didn't worry about we don't have these guys, so we gotta do something else. We just gotta do what we normally do and go out and win a ball game.
Anything else?
When you play out there, we watch you. You inspire the team with those surges of great energy and a big player, a slashing dunk. Do you feel like that's your responsibility to lead your team to a quick moment of resurgence to greatness?
For sure. I mean, sometimes we be in a slump and we won't score the ball for a while. So, you know, try to get a block or a good rebound or offensive rebound, like something like that to, you know, motivate the team a little bit and get us going. So I feel, you know, it's my responsibility. I've been here for 3 years now, so.
Last question.
Yeah, so just ask Corey about it, making it to this point, making it to the break. How big is it, and I mean, how much needed is it for this team right now?
I mean, we need a little break right now, so this break is very timely. So, you know, we're going to enjoy it and then come back and get back to work.
I know you can't get home for the Christmas break, or you have any plans? Just some players hanging out here?
Yeah, Vlad's here.
I saw Vlad. Yeah, Vlad's back. He hanging out with you for the break?
Yeah, so we'll hang out for a little bit and then that's it.
Very cool.
All right, thank you.
Hey, how far is home from here, just for that?
15 hours from LA.
15 hours from LA. Wow.
Yeah.